We had 2 Anderson shelters in the back garden facing each other. My father wouldn't stay inside them though. He liked to look around outside. Everything is rationed. We had a ration book for food, a ration book for clothes. My mum sometimes changed the clothes ones for food, and whatever else.
We have to take emergency supplies in case the raid lasts for some hours and we become hungry.
We all had to queue to get out our gas mask at the Hazelwood School.
There was a fireplace in a building in the school grounds, and we girls had to cook dinners for the firemen.
A bomb must have fallen near my house one night because I was lying in bed and a piece of ceiling came down right on top of me. We decided to stay in bed that night and not to rush to the shelter.
During the day, the bomb sites are playgrounds. It's such fun. You have to dodge the air raid wardens though. My friends and I walk around and collect shrapnel. I've been lucky once or twice and found some big bits, which I took to show and tell at school. Along the railway is a good place to find shrapnel.
The evacuation operation was a chaotic one, with one of the leaders taking us kids in and knocking on the doors to see who would take us in. You know those fancy fish grease jars? Well, sometimes I pick flowers from the garden and put them in the empty jar to put in our air raid shelter. The shelter's all iron and thick concrete, so the flowers make it nice.
The noise really scares me. The noise and the flashing lights, the gun light and searching lights and the sirens.
Sometimes when we wait for a bus under a shelter, you can hear the shrapnel going ding ding ding. I was due to start on this school in September, but the starting date was delayed until the air raid shelters were built. We had a lovely sports day at the small arms factory. It was in the summer, around all the grounds, and it was fantastic for me and my friends.
My father works at the town hall, and they have a roster for people to go up in the bell tower, and they have a phone for emergency services. He's up there once every 8 days, I think. I go up sometimes with him, and I know Edmonton Town Hall right from the basement to the top of the bell tower, because my dad is chief clerk or something.
I don't really understand it all, but it is frightening at times. Sometimes we can't get to school because of bomb damage.
Because my father has the Daily Telegraph newspaper, and they have the maps of the front line in Europe. And I look at those maps every day to see where the war is going.
We've had lots of street parties since the victory. I go to all of them to dance and sing. We've even had bonfires at some of them.
Yes, I mean, I don't remember being scared too much. One occasion when the bombing and the shelling, it was the shelling which was noisy, got bad, and I sat under the stairs on my mum's lap, and the whole house was shaking. The doors were shaking with the vibration of the shelling, and that was scary. My sister was very, very cool. She was 10 years older than me, and we used to have what we called coke fires in those days, which used to crackle. And we'd sit there and start cracking them out and say, "What's that? What's that?" I said, "It's all right. Only the coke." And she carried on reading or knitting, and my mother was a bag of nerves, but my sister was so cool.
It was a big house, and I don't know, about 5, 6 bedrooms. I don't know what it had there. I can't remember. But That was my grandmother's house, but when the bombers come over, obviously they took me down to the cellar, which is probably the worst place.
But I was certainly there for the London Blitz, and that was awful because it was night after night and it really wore us down. I remember going every night. I started off, I slept in this Morrison shelter which we had downstairs, and I was bedtime, I was up in my bedroom and I thought, I'm simply not going to go in that shelter. I am simply not going to go in that shelter. I'm going to sleep in my own bed. And that was the very night that Hitler cancelled that Blitz plan. He did it quite suddenly, you know, history will tell you. And the Blitz stopped. And to my astonishment, I slept all night in my bed and woke up amazed in the morning to find that I was in my own bed. That was lovely. And really, I'm not sure that we used that shelter much more after that. It was during that London Blitz time, which was really awful. And although here, out of London, we didn't get the damage that London suffered, you'd only got to take the 29 bus into, going down Green Lanes into central London, and began by Finsbury Park. The damage was huge. Terrace after terrace of houses completely destroyed.
Going to school, we were all issued with these cardboard boxes with gas masks in them, in case there was a gas attack in the war. On the 17th of September 1940, my brother and I, my older brother and I, were getting ready for bed in our pyjamas. My father was making a pot of tea in the kitchen. We were just about to go up to bed, and the anti-aircraft guns opened up for the first time ever at the battery behind Latimer Road near the A10, what is now the Levy Centre, used to be King George VI playing fields. So my father said, "Get down the shelter, quick." My mother and my older brother have gone out the back door, straight down the shelter. Me, I've gone out the back door, climbed on the coal bunker, and then onto the roof of the outside toilet. And I'm watching this German plane flying around with shell bursts going off all around it. My father was going to bring the tray of tea down to the concrete bunker that he built. It was far more than a shelter, it was a concrete bunker, reinforced steel. He saw me up there, he said, "Get down that bloody shelter." So I've jumped down and run down the shelter. He's put the tea tray on the coal bunker, shut the back door, picked it up, followed me down the garden. I've jumped down into the bottom part of the air raid shelter. He's come down, put the tea tray down, shut the outer heavy wooden door, jumped down beside me, picked up the teapot and boom! And that was our house gone. When it all quietened down, my father looked out, he said, "The house has gone." It was just an open space where the house had been. In the morning we discovered that there was a 10-foot crater. Our house had been hit with a direct hit, and 4 houses eventually had to be pulled down.
Well, in actual fact, one exactly opposite us was bombed, and it didn't explode. Right opposite, and didn't explode.
Rations, yes. We lived about 4 doors away from a grocer's shop called Miss Hopkins, and you had to register for groceries, and so we had our ration books, and that's where we went with our ration books, and they were marked off there. Often, quite a few times, you might get a little bit extra. she'd look around the shop and slide something into your basket. Probably didn't know what it was until you got home. But because they were allocated food per customer head, then sometimes there was a bit extra which they could let people have. But rationing was clothing as well, and Mum used to have a woolen cardigan, pull it apart, and then re-knit things with it, like gloves and scarves and socks and with the wool, reuse it, and make do and mend.
I remember after the bombing over, we used to go out and pick up the shrapnel, and the shrapnel would go back. I don't know why, but we did.
I remember after air raid going around collecting shrapnel off the pavement. Sometimes it would still be smoking with the phosphorus.
The end of the war, yes, the victory celebrations, of course, and I can remember walking into London Road and Jennison Terrace, and little lower houses. They'd got a street party going on there. There was a piano in the middle, and they were singing and dancing and drinking, and I went up to London with my dad to Trafalgar Square or something like that, and saw the celebrations there. We also had a victory sort of, we'll call it a party, but it was more of a tea in the grounds of George Spicer's school, and I've got a photograph of that with all the mums standing there with their arms folded and their aprons on, and I'm sitting on the end there with an army hat on that my uncle gave me, so I have a photograph of me at that party.
All kids had a party.
Most, a sort of neighbourhood thing took place in Osage School for us. By then, I was at school in East Barnet, but our victory party took place in Osage. But I wasn't a very sociable child, so it left me cold. But it was all fun and games, which we hadn't been able to have up to that point, you know. And I think the idea was to give children the idea that you could now have a happy time and a good party, which we hadn't been able to have during the war. It was a nice idea.